The days of autonomous agents taking over your computer, accomplishing tasks, and replacing actual workers, I think is probably here. So this week, just recently, we had a huge update from Meta, or I guess not Meta, but some former Meta engineers, and they've launched a company called Jace. And essentially, this is an AI agent that works independently on your computer. It takes over your computer. You give it a task, and it will go and accomplish that entire task. They gave some examples of things it was able to do, and this is all coming out of Zeta Labs, by the way. But one of their examples was they told it to start a business and ask for any information that it wanted about the business. It was able to go actually register the business and get an LLC created. It was able to go and find its first customer and actually start making money. And all of this is essentially taking over your computer and clicking around and doing everything on your screen. This is a completely different way of doing kind of these automated AI tasks. Now, we've had a bunch of other companies focusing on this in the past. This seems like the first one to really come out and demo and show what they're capable of. Jamie, what possibilities have just been unlocked here?
I mean, I think this is a lot bigger than people realize because up to this point, we've had all these really cool AI tools that can be, make your life easier. But now there's a tool that can connect them all and actually perform actions on your behalf. So I think that, this really, I mean, there's so many different applications, use cases, but I know, Jaden, you've used virtual assistants, or you still currently use virtual assistants quite often, but I feel like this almost will eliminate the need for that because you have someone you have an AI that's able to research for you, and also email, do everything that a virtual assistant essentially would. I think it's gonna be huge. Yeah, my wheels are spinning right now. What about you?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that's a really good comparison to make as a virtual assistant because when I hire a virtual assistant, I'm not really hiring someone that's like an expert at doing some specific thing. I'm just like you're a capable person that I can explain a task to, and I essentially, like when I have a virtual assistant. So for example, I do something like like download all of the podcast episodes I've ever recorded, and we're going to be moving over to a new platform, so re-upload them to this new platform and set the dates and the times and descriptions. And it's just like kind of this manual task. You can be downloading, uploading, doing this stuff, relabeling everything. It's a long project. It's going to take you like a month. I would get a virtual assistant. I would record a screen share of me like doing the first episode, every single clip, every single step. I'd send that to them, get them the login information they need, and away they would go. To me, this is going to be incredibly similar to that process. It's going to be the same thing, actually. Yeah. So it's like I make a training, except in the demo that they were showing, it was like a prompt where you were talking with it. The only thing, so one thing that I know people will complain about. So yeah, I think essentially it will replace virtual assistants, or as at the base level, and I think it only gets better. So virtual assistants are kind of like the easiest tasks, and then it will work its way up to expert mode on a lot of different industries. So I think when people are like, AI won't replace you, someone using AI will. Well, it seems like one person using AI can automate or manage. You know what it's going to get down to, Jamie? It's going to be like, how many people can a manager manage, like realistically, and stay on top of everyone? Like 10 people, 15 people, 7 people? Like, how many people can you actually manage? And I mean, I have this right now because I have like 9 interns that are currently interning for me at AI Box. And it's a lot sometimes. They're all working on different projects, staying on top of things. I had to designate one of the interns to be like the head of the interns to manage them all, and then I just like do meetings with them. And like I'm trying to like figure out
Yeah.
the pyramid of this. And maybe, oh my gosh, that just blew my mind, maybe that's what you do with these agents. You have one of the agents that it's their job, and you teach them how to manage the other agents. Because the problem that I'm thinking of, and maybe like when you're building a business, all you care about at this point is just like mass producing it. Because if you have the agents and you're building a business with agents, why don't you build 100 businesses with agents? Why don't you build 1,000,000 businesses with agents? People will,
Yeah.
it's just going to be compute cost. So if you can make it profitable, people will do it. So then my thinking is, yeah, how do you structure it? It gets crazy. I don't even know what your question was, and I don't even know what my answer was, but I just went on a crazy mind journey right there.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, in the business world, I think practically another example they gave that as a use case for this would be essentially like a travel agent for you. So on your behalf, this software would be able, Jace would be able to, you tell them, where you want to go, how many nights, and what your budget is, and Jace will go, book your Airbnb, book your flights, book your rental car, all for you on your behalf, taking action on each item. To me, travel agents, I think, especially, are going to need to worry about this one because that essentially eliminates any need for a travel agent. People who don't feel like figuring out all the booking, they just want to have a trip booked for them. I mean, that to me is a practical case maybe for the non entrepreneur, but for the entrepreneur, maybe you could start your own AI travel agency and just have Jace do it all for you. But
Here's what the question that I'm thinking with all this stuff is like, I really like this approach where it takes over your computer screen and it can click around and do stuff. I really like that approach. It feels like there's this company in Japan that they're making a humanoid robot and they're teaching it how to drive. So they're doing like self-driving, but it's like they've trained a humanoid robot to like do the driving. And I think it's kind of interesting. Like we get technology to interface with what us humans are used to interfacing with. And so I think this is the same thing, right? Because right now when people talk about agents, they want it to just be like, this agent has access to all of these APIs. You give it like information, you chat with it, and it's just like running in the background, like doing this crazy stuff. This is interesting because it's like running on a computer monitor and you can watch it do things. I think that's cool for us to monitor what it's doing and to know that like it's not spinning out of control because we can kind of like watch exactly what it's doing. I mean, I guess if it really wanted to spin out of control, it could do sneaky things by like opening a tab and it could do something in the background behind the tab that we're not looking at, or I don't know. It could probably be sneaky too. But anyways, I think this is an interesting approach where we're interfacing with things the same way a human would interface with it. So the reason why I think that that's important is because we can essentially the available training data set is so much bigger than like let's say we're going to do the agents the other way where it's just through APIs and you're like, hey, build me a business. You don't know what's going on, but it's got access to the internet and APIs and it's like running. Only really developers can like run that. And that was our problem with Auto GPT when it came out, that agent program. It was like, it's a GitHub project. It was really popular. Some people complained it didn't work. But at the end of the day, it was a GitHub project. So only developers can run it and use it. Right now, if we have a project of something like this released to the masses, it's going to be working on a computer the same way everyone else works on a computer, the majority of people that aren't developers. So it's like the target audience is the entire world for the tasks it can automate and for the people that can train it to do stuff. So I think some people will say like, oh, it's not as powerful, it's not as flexible, it's not as whatever, but it's like, yeah, but the training set's the whole world, so bigger audience, it's going to get better than the other version.
Yeah, I mean, even like doing research for you, finding, searching through LinkedIn for a specific type of person and trying to get, leads through LinkedIn. This will be able to do that. It'll be able to, click through and research and find exactly what you're looking for. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see all that happens with it. But I would love to get my hands on it
Yeah,
sooner
here's
rather
the
than
thing.
later.
Oh, 100%, me too, I'm drooling over this. But here's the thing, I have a couple more thoughts. The first one is I like hate, not I don't hate, I understand it. They show a demo like, and it can book your trip for you. Look, tell it what you want to do, and it goes books your trip. And you're like, oh, that's so useful. And then it's like, then they just like nonchalantly are like, and it can like start a business for you. We told it to start a business. It got the LLC. It set it up. It found its first customer, and it made money. And it's like, okay, so it's capable of doing that. And then like you think like, oh, cool, it could make me a business. No, it's not going to make you a business. You have to think of the edge cases. Like in reality, if it can make you a business, someone's going to make 100 businesses and 1,000 businesses and 1,000,000 businesses. This is where my brain goes because this is what I do. It's like growth hacking. You're going to make, if you can, you're going to make 1,000,000 businesses with it, especially if they're all profitable and whatever. And maybe you make 1,000,000 and some of them are profitable, some of them aren't. And then you chop it down and just take the most profitable ones. It's just insane because you know this thing's going to scale up. So you just have to start thinking in your brain, this is capable. How would I scale it? How would I organize an entire company of Jaces? Who's going to be my HR? Who's going to be my like head of whatever? And who's going to manage all of them? And you as the CEO run the whole thing. And maybe you're going to make a Jace run the whole thing, and then that Jace is going to start 10 other companies. Like it's just crazy. And it's essentially as much as you can think of and as many ideas as you can come up with, it can do. Oh, here's the last thing. All right, last juicy tidbit that I think is going to crush it in business with this tool. I don't know everything about HR. I don't even pretend to know anything about HR. And if I ask this Jace tool to tell me about HR, maybe it'd come up with some good things from the internet, but maybe it doesn't know everything. I don't know, whatever. Imagine you have a business. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Imagine you have a company with 30 employees and you tell each employee, okay, we're going to spin up a new company, or I don't know how you really do this. Pretty much you tell everyone to replace themselves, right? So you're just like, you're head of HR, tell it all the tasks that you do in a day, get it to automate them all. Like, I don't know how you convince someone to do this, but like, maybe you bring in an agency, maybe McKinsey. This is a service McKinsey offers. They're advisors. They come in, they shadow you. They're becoming an executive assistant for you, and then really, boom, stab you in the back. And McKinsey's like, we just automated everything you did because we watched your computer screen for the last month. We know everything. Jace has replaced it. And the reason I say that is because like someone has to kind of watch what the expert HR or the expert marketing person or the expert whatever person is doing. And if they watch what you're doing, like most of your tasks at any given white collar job are like kind of repetitive. And sometimes you got to be creative and think of like new initiatives and things. But like if you could explain it, or if Jace can watch your computer screen, oh my gosh. Okay, last thing. I'm sorry, I'm going off the rails, Jamie. But Microsoft just unveiled the Microsoft Recall thing, where it's like taking a screenshot of everything happening on your computer, and then like I don't know whatever that, and then it's gonna like help you remember it. Okay, so what if we just stopped the screenshot and just made it a video, and there's a constant video feed? I mean, there's already services doing this. So what if just a company just has a constant video feed of all their employees' things? Boom, they feed this into Jace in like a month, and then Jace can go and take over at a very high level what every single one of them are doing. Then just imagine, like, don't worry, we're not laying you guys all off, but we do want this Jace thing to automate it. We want you to watch it as it works and help talk with it and ask it what it's doing and make sure it's doing it right. Give it some pointers and tips. Um, and okay, now that you're doing that, we would actually like you to manage 5 Jaces, and we're going to start like 5 new adjacent or similar sort of businesses. Any business could like turn into 5 businesses. I don't know, man. I just think it's insane. We're going to automate businesses, and actual people's jobs, I think for the first time, will be completely replaced. I'm not saying this is a good thing, but I definitely think that that is coming. Like, you can't say that's not going
Oh
to
yeah.
happen, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, being able to link, yeah, absolutely. I think it's a little scary to think about too much, but, but yeah, I think you're right with the managing thing. I think they'll have to be managers of the Jace, or at least for now, and then eventually maybe there'll just be one human overseeing it all. I don't know. Crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff. All right. Well, if you enjoyed my long rambling rants and Jamie's very sophisticated input that you should probably take more of, make sure to subscribe. We really appreciate you listening to the podcast. I am going to be going on a mind trip over the next probably month on the implications of Jace, because I don't think people understand what is happening here. So stick around. Make sure you're subscribed. Drop me a comment before I replace you with an AI that can do that. And I will share all of the thoughts in my brain about Jace. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys. Hope you all have an amazing rest of your day.